So we are rocking and rolling. Okay. Well, first of all, welcome. If it's your first time to Connect and Create, welcome. And we'll have everyone in the audience just stay on mute until towards the end for the quality of our sound. And I know you all want to greet Robyn. So, but welcome everyone. And before we get too far in, I want to just share a little bit of the history of how Connect and Create came to be. And then I'll introduce our guest today, Robyn. So during the shutdown due to COVID, I found myself with a lot of extra time on my hands. And I say I'm a social hermit. So I'm an artist myself, and I spend a lot of time in the studio, but I also spend a fair amount of time out in the world with other people. So those of you that are just joining, I'm Karina Sephora, and you are with us on the Connect and Create. And what episode are we on? I think we're on episode 30. I'm gonna double check that. We are on episode 29. So this is the 29th guest that I've had on Connect and Create. And each one has been a different story, a different journey. And really the intention of putting this show together is to create a platform for artists and entrepreneurs to be able to share who they are with the world and have a space to express themselves and for other people to be able to interact and connect with them. As a visual artist myself, I find it's imperative to be able to connect with other people. And in the time of, all of this stay at home, it was really like, well, there's something missing. And so when I first started this show, I was telling Robyn this, I did it 3 days a week. I was inspired by my friends, Giovanni Gonzalez and Sorel Ketan, his business partner, who did a show every morning, which they still do, the Daily Huddle. I was a guest on their show, and I was so excited about it. I kept inviting other people to be guests on their show. And I realized if I'm this excited about it, maybe I could create something myself. So that's just a little history of how Connect and Create came to be. There are a couple people that are here in our live audience, such as Rick, that have been guests before. So welcome. And if it's your very first time, welcome. And I hope you come back. Every Tuesday, we have a different speaker. And we have a local artist from Atlanta who will be sharing her work next week. And we have a New York artist that will be sharing his work the following week. So Robyn, before I share from your bio and some highlights about you, is there anything you'd like to say? You want to greet your guests or just to be present?
Yes. I just want to thank you all for being here. And several of you are surprises. I didn't know you'd be here. So that's really delightful. And hi, Pam. She was waving. And it means a lot to me that you're here, and I'm really excited about this interview. Thank you, Karina, for the opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So a little bit about Robyn. Robyn was born an artist. She grew up in a household where her creativity, even her family wasn't necessarily artists themselves, her creativity was encouraged. She not only was a visual artist with painting and drawing, but she was a demand for dance and music lessons, piano, and contemplated a career as a dance artist, but chose to go the route of visual artist. One of her specialties was tap dancing and jazz on the piano. So as she evolved in her creative process, Robyn became a two-dimensional visual artist. And she spent 12 years creating one-of-a-kind commissioned ceramics pieces, of which I think we'll get to see a few. And eventually she went back to school for her master's in painting and drawing, where she found her visual voice, creating mixed media and multimedia works that address women's empowerment issues. And Robyn, is the figure behind you one of those that addresses the empowerment issues?
Yes, it's the most recent one. It's a giant blow up of a paper doll, except instead of using an idealized woman's figure like they usually are or were when we did paper dolls, it's of a real woman, and promoting the idea that the best beauty is in real women.
Great.
That's beauty.
Great. Yeah. So there's a little example
Real
here.
women are beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, curvy. Um,
Curvy.
yeah, yeah. The days of Twiggy went out of style. So she addresses women's empowerment issues, and her love for the juxtaposing text and images also emerged during those years. So much of her recent work has taken a more personal turn, and however, her current favorite work in progress is 7.5 foot, which we saw the paper doll. And one more thing I want to share about Robyn is that her first job out of art school was working in a museum of contemporary art. And as a result, overhearing disgruntled remarks from, museum goers and visitors, she made a promise to herself that she would do something to make modern art accessible to everyone. And to that end, she's in the process of writing a book with the assistance of her brilliant co-writer, Carol Winkler. Is Carol in the audience today? I
She
see
is.
waving. Great. I'm glad we gave you a shout out. Entitled the book is entitled The Magic of Modern Art, How to Love It. She's written a theme song, and I didn't know about the theme song, and she started a blog on the newly created and there's a newly created Facebook page. And those of you that want to follow about this magic of modern art, you can see a link in our chat, and you're welcome to copy that and go to the brand new Facebook page, which I'm sure will be evolving. And what else? And she's gathered a team of like-minded people, some of those are on this call, that are affectionately known as the Magic of Modern Art Mensches. So all of this is in service of the ultimate commitment, which is a world where everyone experiences the extraordinary transformational impact of the art of our time. So that's a little about Robyn. Robyn, anything you want to say before we get into the conversation?
No, that was great. I was thinking, well, that was complete. Okay, we're done. You covered it.
So, well, Carol, it's wonderful to have you here as well. And I see a couple of other people that are considered the Mensches. I had the thrill to be able to be a part of one of the conversations about looking at art. And even one of my favorite things to do is connect people to each other. So some other people who I know, I think now have had those conversations with Robyn as well.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, definitely. So Robyn, would you care to share with us a little bit more in depth about your journey as an artist, some of the areas that you've traveled through in terms of being an artist, and what do you see that you're moving into with your future?
Thank you. Thanks. That's a great question. I would say that being an artist is a whole orientation towards life, that it affects every aspect. One of my favorite phrases is "bring art to life," and in my life, being an artist has always been a source of joy and growth and excitement, and both in terms of sharing it and in producing it, and also in sharing in other people's work and seeing what other people are doing. And it's very, I really don't have that much to say about it since after what you said. Well, actually, that's not true. There is one thing, and I want to show you a couple of things. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and
Right.
I apologize that you're going to see oops, that's the wrong thing. Try that again.
Well, while Robyn's getting her
Here we go.
Here we go. Perfect.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show you a couple of the ceramics. What happened was, when you're an artist, wherever you go, you always find ways to create your art in the most inexplicable ways. So I had been a recreation instructor for the city of Fort Worth when I lived there. And they literally made me teach people how to do ceramics. And I had no background in it. and wasn't interested in it. But what happens, you know, just by being immersed in it, I found things I liked doing with it. And I ended up making ceramics for quite a few years. And so the one on the left is handmade. It's about, I actually have this one because its owner died and I got it in an estate sale. Terrible. Anyway, but so this one, the one on the left is a coil pot, and the one on the right was actually slip cast. So I made molds and did slip cast ceramics as well. And then this one is non-functional. It's just a playful wall piece. I liked, made out of very thin ceramic slab and then painted, obviously. This one, this one is also made out of slabs of ceramic, and it's painted on the inside and the outside. It actually is a vessel, but it wouldn't hold water. And it's not designed to hold anything. And then I also went through a period where I was doing a lot of portrait photography. Up until then, I'd used photographs as source material for paintings and drawings. And then for a little while, when I was I had other works to supplement my income, I got into doing portrait photography. And it just so happens, so these are two examples of the same man. And then this one is actually Carol on the left a few years ago. And all my photography, all my portrait photography was done in black and white. Well, almost all of it. And then I also, when I was in graduate school, I took a foray into stone sculpture. I only own one of those anymore. This one was sold, and it's one of my favorites. It's limestone. Stone sculpture is really fun. And then I put a slide up here for if you want to capture my website address, and then on the bottom, my Facebook page, Magic of Modern Art. So you are welcome, if you haven't already been there, to come to the Facebook page, and even if you want to become a supporter, and I'll talk more about the supporter of what related to the magic of modern art. So that's it on that for the moment. And then, let's see, back to this. I had done a lot of personal growth work, and one of the things that always struck me was what happens when we think of other people like objects. And when I was in graduate school, I really was present to that. And I saw women, and still do, as a case in point where the objectification of women, and then, you know, extrapolating from that, everyone really creates a lot of mischief. And I created an installation when I was in graduate school called Woman as Object, and I want to show it to you. And a lot of my work since then has sprung from there. So this is my website, and I'll just show a few of the general things on it. The pictures change automatically. I did a lot of work with mannequins, and then in the Woman as Object, women themselves are depicted like mannequins. I started out, when I started painting again, doing things more like this, really abstract expressionist stuff, and then added the X's, and then I went into a kind of graffiti phase, and then I went into a really orderly phase where I was just tired of all the mess and just wanted everything to be really orderly. That red one is my self-portrait. All my work, almost all my work, is large. That one is it behind me? No, that one is 4 by 6 feet. Anyway, so here's Woman as Object. So, and then eventually, so then I was doing these abstract expressionist things, and then I was doing these kind of graffiti paintings, and it's all on my website here. And then I started getting really orderly and painting stories of miracles that had happened to me right on the canvas, and all there were painted text. And then I started finding ways to put the text with imagery. So here's what the installation looked like. The noise, I can turn it off. It's just people talking. And I was fortunate enough to have a videographer come and photograph it for me, video it for me. So this is what it looks like hung. There were, I used 4 women of different ages, and for each one I did a painting, a charcoal where she was really encased, and on the painting there's a transcript of an interview that I did with each one. And then you'll see there are little television sets around the room, and those all have the bullet points from the interview of the women. So that kind of gives you an idea of that. And that these were actual mannequins, just drawn mannequins. But I always thought it was so ironic that we objectify human beings and personify things. Like we look at a mannequin and we think, oh, it looks sad, or it looks happy, or it looks angry. And we look at people that we don't know, or people far away, and we don't even relate to them like they're people necessarily. There's a wonderful concept called, oh gosh, I can't think of it. Oh, I was going to go back to that for a second. Hang on. I wanted to give you a sense of the good. Now I want to escape that. Good, good, good. And show you what the videos are like of the individual women. And for this, I'm going to have to turn the sound on. I hope you can hear this okay. Can you hear it? Nod if you can.
I didn't want to play with dolls. I didn't want to wear dresses. Well, I knew I didn't want to be a housewife, that's for sure. So I kind of formed an opinion that men just didn't, you know, they didn't care who you were or what you were. They just were interested in what your body was like. Like I didn't really think that I had a role as far as male and female goes. Women can do whatever men do. I am a very powerful, capable woman. But
that's one of those. And then so each one of the women had a video. The videos were about an hour long, and then they were boiled down to bullets. So the final product for each one was between 1 and 4 minutes. So I'm not going to show you all of that because I want to talk about some other things, but I would love for you to visit the website. You can see all of it there. Whoops. Stop share. Okay. Back.
Great. So thank you for sharing, you know, some of the work from your website and from those archives and previous work. And would you like to share with us a little bit about what you're working on right now and what you see the future holds?
Yes, absolutely. So as you mentioned when you talked about my biography, it was after I decided to do something about—
Robyn, it's difficult to hear you. Have you covered up your sound or something?
Not that I know of. Is everyone having that problem?
Right, Lori would, yeah.
Uh-oh. Well,
We can hear you. It's just talk a little louder.
Okay, how's this? Okay, great. All right. So, so I started writing this book after I made that decision. And it's gone through a variety of iterations. And the purpose of the book is to give the people who don't have access to it a way in to appreciate modern and contemporary art. And what I observed is that people had a certain stopping point after which they couldn't relate to art. And what I mean by that is that in history. So like I have one friend who said he was fine up until soup cans. Everything up till then he could relate to. Or other people, they were fine until it got to abstract expressionism and they saw all the paint splatters everywhere that Jackson Pollock did. Or in some cases it would be like they could understand certain things from certain eras or relate to them, not really understand, but not others. And so I realized that people didn't really have a place to look from or to experience the art. And that most people only have a 6th grade education when it comes to art. They have whatever they were given in school. And then if they didn't filter off or funnel themselves off towards art after that, they probably weren't going to learn much more. And if you can imagine what it would be like to have a 6th grade education in reading, imagine what material you would appreciate. It wouldn't be what you now can appreciate. So, and what I saw was that people had a lot of misconceptions. Like they thought that if you didn't know all about art history, you couldn't appreciate art. Or if you didn't make art yourself, maybe you couldn't appreciate it. Or if just all these rules, or if you weren't the kind, like the certain kind of person that they thought art people were, then they couldn't, then they were locked out. And then I also saw that people had, I would talk to people sometimes in the galleries and I would say, or even to friends who didn't get it, and I would say, what is it? You know, what is it about this piece that you don't like or that you don't think it's art? And they would say, well, it doesn't look like anything. It should look like something. Or they would say, it's ugly. Or they would say, I don't get what it's about. Or they would say, it looks like it took about 10 minutes to do it. I know we've all heard the cliche, my 5-year-old could do that, but people really, really, really do say that. I mean, it's really real for people. Or they'll say, I could do that. That can't be art because I could do it. So I took on looking at what would it take, and I started doing museum tours and gallery tours with people I knew. And I called it the Robyn Jamison Art Tour. And I would take people and I would have them, and I would go to some exhibit that was very progressive, and I would have the people come and I would have them stand in front of some piece of art that they especially did not resonate with, that they especially did not like at first glance. And I would have them stand in front of it like a long time. And I didn't really give anybody any instructions except just stay with it, just to see what would happen. And people would go, oh, well, after I stood there for a while, I saw all this texture, and then I could imagine what the artist was experiencing. Or I started to notice that I was feeling really upset, or I started to notice I was feeling really excited, or I started, you know, people started to see what was happening with them and to have an experience, a real one-on-one, that person with that piece of art kind of experience. And they came away with a completely different relationship to contemporary art and stopped being dismissive of anything that they couldn't relate to at first. So from there, I started really looking at what are all the things that get in the way. And in the book, I do my best to address all what I call them, I named them counterproductive beliefs. All the counterproductive beliefs that people have or could have that keep them apart from the art of our time. And I identify those and I debunk them. And in some cases, I don't debunk them. I just say, this is something to set aside. but I address all of that in the book. And then I do and the book includes a light touch on art history as it pertains to the transitions from traditional, what I call traditional art, to contemporary art. And the big thing about the book is it's non-academic. It's not about learning something. It's mostly about unlearning and then allowing yourself to be with the art. And I do have questions that I ask people to consider. You know, I've developed more around it, and I plan to have an app, a smartphone app, that'll remind people of things to think about and things not to think about maybe, and that they can take with them whenever they go look at art, and open-ended questions that will lead them to notice things about themselves as they're being with the art, notice things about the art, and to completely validate every single person's experience of it. Oh, and one of the big things that people tend to believe is that art is about whether or not you like it. Like so many people say, Rick's clapping his hands, because so many people say, well, I remember, I don't know anything about art, but I know what I like. You know, I've heard that a million times, and it's so interesting. Because what if it's not about what you like? What if it's about an experience that has nothing to do with liking or not liking? Or maybe you can like whatever it is that you have an experience of. Also, and then there are also caveats, or not caveats, but offshoots of those, like it has to be beautiful, it has to be cheerful, it shouldn't be political, you know, all those kinds of rules. Or even like, I'm not smart enough, or I don't have what it takes, and things along those lines as well. So yeah, the book, I'm aiming to have it out by next September. And then along with it, I've started a blog, as I think Karina mentioned, on the Facebook page. I've written a theme song that is soon to be produced. So there'll be a theme song so everyone can hum along to the magic of modern art. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it. Carol, if you have anything that you think I missed, Carol is editing the book with me. Did I miss anything important?
No, I think you did a brilliant job.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here to check.
Me too, to hear it. And I hadn't seen some of those things, so it's been great.
Yeah, Carol she's an ongoing guinea pig too, because she's someone who would be a great candidate to read the book.
I am. I have a lot of those counterproductive beliefs, or had. Still some show up around me, but a lot of them are going away.
Yeah. And then by the way, I do want to add that I also have people really look at creating a new context for modern art, like a new whole way of approaching it. And I do also provide a little bit of like technical information, like a little bit about color, a little bit about design, a little bit about composition, you know, so I don't completely leave all that out. Anyway, so I'm very excited about it, and I'm so excited about sharing it with all of you.
Well, great. Robyn, you can just hear your enthusiasm, and you can tell that you have an enthusiastic audience and group of followers that are really, you know, right at the heels of what you're up to. Maybe not even at the heels, you know, perhaps just striding right along with you. There were a couple things I heard in your sharing that I was curious if you could elaborate just a little bit more on. And one that I'm just curious about myself. So the part I'm curious about myself is how do you foresee the interviews that you've had with people and their thoughts about viewing art? I'm really curious.
Oh, yeah. Right? It's so great. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, how does that weave in?
I've interviewed a variety of artists and gallery owners and just people who are involved in one way or another in the art world. And the interviews have not been about their work or their careers. It's the interviews have been about how do they look at art? What do they do when they approach a work of art that they find repugnant? What do they do to open things up. And it's so fascinating because each one is different. So how I'm using those in the book, they'll be included in the book. And there's a few of you here who are in the book and have been interviewed. And I plan to do two things with the interviews. One is to intersperse quotes throughout the book when they are particularly salient to a topic. And I'll be doing that in the margins. And then at the end of the book, I'm going to print edited versions of the entire interview with each person for the people who want to read all about it. And I asked everybody the exact same question so that you can really like compare and contrast what they said. And those, thank you for bringing that up, because those interviews have contributed hugely, not only to the final product, but also to my experience of things to consider and things to include in the book itself, aside from the interviews. And yeah, Karina's one of them.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and I look forward to hearing, the different other views that people have, right?
Yeah.
And it really makes it, I think, you could write the book with your opinion about how people could look at modern art. But I think that when you open it up and you get the viewpoints from other people, the book becomes a lot more, I'm just gonna say dimensional, for lack of better words, and in depth in a way that maybe, your own personal view of people looking at modern art, then that gets to be the umbrella for what's possible. But then by having those viewpoints, I think that it really does, add a lot of depth to the understanding, and other people can find themselves inside of those conversations.
Absolutely. And one of the things that's been so interesting for me is that some people say the exact opposite thing. So for example, one of the gallery owners said, when you go to look at art, go with people so you can talk about it. And then an artist that I know said, always go alone. And I don't talk to anybody till you're done. So people is really and which is great, because it also shows that it works for people to find what works for them.
Yeah, totally. There's an artist. This makes me think there's an artist who was a New York artist, and she left the art scene because she felt that the art critics were, this is sort of in Jackson Pollock era, right? And I have a piece of her work right in front of me in a collage. And I'm drawing a blank on her name at this very moment, but she literally left the New York art scene and had a barn in Pennsylvania. She would commute to teach in New York City. And, and she really felt that the opinions of the art critics at that time, started to slant the type of work people were creating. I'm gonna get her name. I'll show you. I'll get her name to you, but
I think she has a point.
Yeah. Anyhow, she I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on her name, but anyway, it's part of one of my collages. But anyway, she I'll get you her name. She might be an interesting person just to kind of check into that, because that's a whole other viewpoint, right? There's about what you want to get away from as someone who's creating, but that might be a whole other book. So the final thing I wanted to just touch on before we get into the question and answers from our audience is, you mentioned something about an app, and I thought that was very forward thinking. And is there anything that you want to say about that? Do you need any help developing that? Is there someone out there?
I do. My husband is a computer programmer, and he doesn't have that background. And I did have someone who had already agreed to do it, and he moved to Europe. The nerve, right? Anyway, so yeah, I am definitely looking for someone who can help with the app. I have a pretty clear idea of how I want it to be, so the design part should be easy. And now that you're asking, I also am looking for someone who knows someone or who can build a new website for the magic of modern art.
Great. So that was something, I got to participate in part of your call this weekend, and I know you call them their mensches. You have a whole team of people that are supporting you in putting this together. If there was someone in the audience and they felt that they had something they could contribute, are you still taking contributors?
Yes. Yes, it's not really a team. It's people who are on board. You know,
On
people
board.
who, yeah, and some people are like doing a lot who are involved, and some people really aren't doing anything except coming to the meetings and sharing it with people, and you know, so it's an open-ended participation. It's anybody who thinks, yeah, that's a great idea.
Great. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, Robyn, for those of you that are watching on Facebook Live, especially, or those of you that are here in our live studio audience, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Probably either by phone or email. You're welcome to call me. My phone number is 512, oh, I'll put it in the chat, 512-771-2663, or you can text me on that. And then my email address is robyn@robynjamison.com, and Rick did me the favor of putting that in the chat already, as well as my website and Facebook page.
Great. Well, anything else before we open it up to some questions?
Not that I can think of. I'd love to have some questions.
Okay, great. So if you want anyone here in the audience, just feel free to raise your hand and I can call on you. Let's see. Anyone have any questions or comments for Robyn? Okay, Rick, yeah, what you got?
Well, mainly I just wanted to say thanks, one, for sharing this, Robyn, and I'm looking forward to the book, because even as an artist, I know that when I go into museums, sometimes I walk right by some things and stay by other things. So just in this discussion today, it's had me think about how I look at art and sometimes pass up art just based on quick assumptions in my head. So and with the COVID and everything, I'm looking forward to getting back to exploring art and being in museums again. And so I just wanted to say thank you for what you're doing, because I think it's going to open up a lot for myself and for other people.
Wow, got it. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you came. Yay.
Awesome. And Lori, there you are, raising your hand. Go ahead, Lori. What have you got?
What I was going to say is, can you push up the publication date?
That is pushing it up.
Oh my gosh, everything you said.
But I'll be happy to share parts of it with you that are ready to.
Okay, everything you said, people have said, I've said. But you also smashed my concept that I don't like modern art, or I can't access it, because I loved every piece, everything you showed. Oh, everything. Oh, the ceramics are great. Oh no, the photography. Oh no, the paintings. Except one piece I didn't like, and I won't. It doesn't. So what? And just an analogy. A really short analogy. When you say that some people look at a painting and say, I could do that. There's nothing to it. I had cataract surgery 2 months ago. And my brother, who's an ophthalmologist, right afterwards, he said, well, how was it? How did it go? And I said, oh, it was nothing. And he said, that's a knife in my chest. It was nothing. He's the ophthalmologist doing, it's like, to the artist, it looks like it took nothing. And it took so much to make it look like it took nothing. So
Brilliant.
The other thing, this will sound, I have it in my head that people tend to excel in certain areas at the detriment of others. So like, you're a visual artist, so I don't expect you to be great in the verbal arts, perhaps. You are so articulate, and this is so well thought out that I'm blown away.
I got it. Thank you. By the way, I addressed that stereotype in the book about artists, because most of the artists I know are incredibly bright and are good at a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe all of them. I want to say all, but I couldn't guarantee it.
So I don't even know what to ask you except how soon can I get my hands on the book and the
I'll send you some stuff this week, a part of it, okay? But you have to promise to get the book too, okay?
Absolutely. I'll
Some teaser, some trailers.
order. I'm ready to order right now.
I'll try to hurry, Lori.
Robyn, maybe you need a pre-order list.
Oh, good idea. Yeah, several people have said they wanted it. Good idea.
If people are interested, they should put it in the chat to start your email list.
I love it.
Yep.
I'll start it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Karina.
Yeah. So if you're interested in pre-ordering a book from Robyn, or you want to be on her list to get information as things are happening, as she has her groups meeting, the Mensches, feel free to put your information in the chat. And it looks like we have another hand here from Anthony. Anthony, did you have a comment or a question?
I have a question. Hi, guys. Good to be here. Thanks, Karina.
You.
So, Robyn, I know from time to time there will be people that come to and just cannot be with art. It literally takes them out of the conversation. Whether or not they come to art with a religious background or something that has them check out from being able to be with what the artist may want them to consider to look at. How do you see a way to approach that, or somehow be inclusive to people that, almost seem like there's a stop from participating?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I sound like a broken record. I feel like that spaghetti sauce ad, like it's in there, but what I see about that is that it has a lot to do with willingness. That once people look at, am I willing or not, and can make a conscious choice rather than how it's just been that way, that's the first inroad. Like, yeah, I'm willing. And then in terms of the practice, I would say that it would be like a little bit at a time. Go look at one thing, spend 10 minutes, and then head for the hills, and then try it again and do it a little bit more the next time, and see, just see what happens.
Great.
Thank you.
Great question, Anthony. Thank you. Really great. Oh, by the way, Anthony is what I call my committed listener. He and I speak every week. I tell him what I'm going to accomplish, and then I tell him what I did accomplish every time we check in. Invaluable. Keeps me on track.
Great. Wonderful. Well, let's see. We have a few more people in our audience. Let's see. That looks like, sorry, I can't see your, go ahead. I see you raising your hand, and there we go. I think you're unmuted. Carol, it's Carol?
Sally.
Sally, I'm sorry, Sally.
Hey,
Sally.
Yeah, hi. I'm Robyn. I'm really glad to see this has gone so far. I guess I saw or heard about the very beginnings of it. So it's really nice to see how far you've gotten with it. It's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so great to see you.
Yeah.
Sally used to live in Austin, and I got to know her, and then she moved to California. And Sally is one of the first people I interviewed for the book.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. So it might be relevant or not relevant now.
It's relevant.
Well, good luck with the process. It sounds really exciting.
Thank you so much. It's really, really great to have you here. I'm so glad you came.
Good.
Oh, I love your new place too.
Yeah, I don't have a Zoom picture behind me. I should.
Great. Well, we're just about to wrap up, but any last burning questions before we close for the day? Yes. Pam.
Me, yes. Okay, I wasn't sure how I was raising my hand.
Hi, Pam.
Hi. Yeah. Well, I've known Robyn since we were teenagers together, so I've seen a lot of. It's been great to reconnect, even recently after a long time. And as she knows, I do a lot of work with the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art in Kansas City, and we are working on how to train docents to engage in conversations with people around race and social justice and in the use of art. And I'm just wondering where, Robyn, you're thinking now in this magic of how do you use art to generate conversations that are so current right now and to make that available to people.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah. Only in, well, you actually brought up something really great. I don't know if this is really a direct answer to your question, Pam, but the reason why the art of our own time is my soapbox is because it is the art that addresses current issues. So I don't have a way that I would say for people to speak about it, but I do say that being locked out of today's art is a missed opportunity for expansion and development as a human being. You know, that the art itself actually addresses that.
It does. It does. Yeah, I had a conversation with someone just on Friday at the museum, a woman I've known for many years, African-American woman who was talking about growing up without either positive or even neutral representation in the culture.
Oh, wow.
Including museums, and
Yeah.
how it registers with you growing up in a world where your whole family gets to the TV to see Diane Carroll on the Lawrence Welk show because that's the one Black woman that is represented for you, and how it is. And, you know, it's just things that haven't, it's like, oh, that just registered so deeply for me. And, you know, now we have this opportunity and museums are becoming more aware of their opportunities to bring art and that sensibility to more people. So
That's so great. And yeah, I really, really admire and appreciate that you're doing that work, Pam.
Well, back at you. So yeah, and we'll keep talking. But
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Good. This was great. I love your, yeah.
So glad you came. Wow, that was a surprise.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
And Pam and Robyn, I wanted to just speak briefly to that. I know, Robyn, when we were talking, I did ask at one point, I was like, how about, what is the diversity of the people you're interviewing, right? And I was curious, since Pam brought that up, I know that there are some other people that you've been interviewing since then, if you really noticed a different point of view from, you know, multicultural, you know, multi-race people that you were interviewing. Did you yourself notice a different
views?
Yeah.
Actually, no. But, you know, but since you brought that up, though, when we were talking, I've been flooded with people of various backgrounds and ethnicities. It's been really great. Like the conversation opened up and then wham, it just all came in. I haven't noticed a difference in the way that, no, they've all been art people. And there's this one woman, I wish she were here today, I don't think she is, who is, has that kind of, she's a Black woman, and she has that Black womanness that makes me want to come back as a Black woman, you know, a richness of expression and a fullness and a openness and a very expressive and very powerful. And I haven't done her interview yet. We're scheduled, so I'll let you know if it's different.
Great. Awesome. Well, we are at time, but I do notice that Dee Dee is like raising her hand emphatically. So we'll have Dee Dee be the last question before we start to close this out. Can you come off mute? You're still on mute. Let's see.
Cool.
There you go.
Here you are.
So as you know, I have granddaughters in high school, and we were talking the other day about my oldest granddaughter. So what you're writing, I was thinking might also in maybe the next book, but this kind of information really for high school students or for high school teachers that can be used with their students. So starting at a younger age, how can we look at art and get into the public schools in this way?
Wow. That's great, Dee Dee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would, and you're a retired school teacher. We should talk.
Okay, we will.
That.
On what Dee Dee said, since a lot of kids don't take a specific art class in high school, how could you pair art with literature? Because they all take English lit. Like a fine wine, what's the right art to go with this book? There's no one answer. So you could make that kind of a book too.
A pairing. That's great. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so great.
Well, thank you. And we do have one comment from our Facebook Live. Rick, you have some fans of your background. A curator friend of mine, so maybe you should check I tagged you on our Facebook page. Maybe you guys can connect. So at any rate, listen, I just wanted to express my gratitude for each and every one of you that's come and made this dialogue so rich. And, you know, the magic of modern art, here we go in dialogue about it. And Robyn, thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you for doing the great work that you're doing. You know, we've had input from people that are involved with museums. We've had input from people who have been school teachers, from artists, from your editor and friends. So it's wonderful to be able to have this platform and have you share what you've shared. Who knows how many people will reach with our Facebook Lives. And once again, thank you for being here. And Robyn, I'd like to give you the last word. What would you like to leave our audiences with?
Thank you. It's been a blast. Karina, thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Wonderful. And if you're out there and you're a creative artist or entrepreneur, or perhaps even work in a museum, and you have a story that you feel is compelling that you would like to share, or a dialogue that you'd like to bring out, again, feel free to reach out to me. Easiest is karinasephora.com. And we have a Facebook page that's Connect and Create. And I look forward to seeing you in the future. Next Tuesday, we'll have an artist, and we have a New York artist, I think 2 weeks after that, a young guy that's like going for it, my friend Mason. So we really try to create a lot of diversity in the people who are speaking, in terms of what they're speaking on, and it's always an artist or an entrepreneur. So that's the window in which we work in. And I really just appreciate you all for being here, and thank you once again, and come back every Tuesday.
It's on my calendar.
Great. Thank you all for being here. Take care.
Thank you. Great job, Robyn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you guys want to take yourselves off mute and just do some shout outs for a few minutes.
Woo!
Bye, you guys. Thanks for showing up. Mwah.
Robyn, that was extraordinary. And Karina, you're a talented moderator or interviewer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're here.
Thank you. Yes, here. Bye-bye.
Bye. And Pam, I've been to your museum once in Kansas City.
Yeah, my museum. Oh, how nice.
The one you're, the
Yeah,
one
I
that
know,
you're working with.
Yeah. Well, we're just opened to the public on the 12th. And,
Oh, mazel tov.
so it's wonderful. It was great to get back in there. They have a